Hello. Oh, this is Stormingo Gaming, and hello. So I'm finally now could be able to make my rant videos. So I've been watching Operation Market Garden or The Bridge Too Far, and there's something I always thought of about Operation Market Garden. I am under the belief that it could have worked for the most part, or specifically the Allies could have been able to hold on to Arnhem, or specifically the British in Arnhem, if one specific part of the plan was changed. And that specific part is them landing on Arnhem. Now, I always saw in the movie and reading and researching it that the biggest reason why they failed was because of the fact that they were forced to land far to the west of Arnhem, far to the west, not even on Uzbek, far to the west. And this was supposedly because of the idea that there was lots of German anti-aircraft guns in the area, so they can't afford it, so they have to land far from the place there. And there's also the idea that the Germans were so weak that it wouldn't matter if they landed that far. But I always thought it's very short-sighted and naive, because, as shown as seen, the Germans were enforced there, specifically SS Panzer units that even the Dutch resistance told them they were there, but they ignored. But it's even worse that they were basically out in the open and and didn't have enough time to reach Oosterbeek or Arnhem. The only British unit that was able to reach Arnhem was John Frost's men, his battalion. And you see that his battalion was able to surprisingly hold on for a couple of days until they were fully defeated. I always wondered, what if the British were able to land at either Arnhem or at the basically Oosterbeek? If they had been able to land at that sector, in that area, they would have been able to fully fortify the town and then be able to capture the bridge in force. They would have had all the supplies in a more clearer area and in a more defensible area than they had. I always saw that it was due to the fact they didn't have that. That was why they lost in that battle. They had no place they could hold because the places they had to defend and hold were flat. Perfect country for German panzers. And it's worse for them because they're airborne. And airborne units are traditionally light infantry. They won't be able to handle combat in long stretches against heavily armed units. And it's even worse because they didn't have a lot of fortified positions to do that. Now, I say if they were able to land on Arnhem or Oosterbeek and were able to fortify those places, that would have given them a higher chance of succeeding. Imagine if the whole British force was in Arnhem had landed in Arnhem. They would have been able to secure the city. They would have been able to secure the bridge, so that even with the delays the 33rd Corps of the British Armored that was being slowed down in the Flying Hells Highway had, they still would have held long enough for the British convoy to arrive. Now, you could ask in the comments whether you don't believe that. I would suggest that. But I feel like that was the biggest reason why they failed. Because there were the hiccups like, say, the Eindhoven Bridge being blown up, or that was the Saarn Bridge being blown up, and then the 82nd not taking Nijmegen, so they have to forcefully fight for 2 days. But the thing is, the British were never in Arnhem or their objectives in force. They were far away from it and fighting a battle of survival against many German units. Only one battalion went into Arnhem, and they lasted less than 3 days. So would it have made more sense if the whole British unit was there? So at least they would have given them more time so that the British army would have been able to reach them? That's the thing about it. It could say it's because of hindsight. Hindsight. The issue was the allies, or because the thing is, there's many people you could blame for it. I don't blame War Urquhart, the British commander of the British Airborne in that area, for it, because he was just doing his job, and the situation was so chaotic and frenzied that he was unable to really help lead it. And even then, the German resistance became prepared by the time they even tried to go there. Because the biggest issue, because if they were together in a specific area like Uzbek or Arnhem, those issues of communication, the radios that weren't working even between themselves, that would have been lessened if most of the unit was in a single city. But since they weren't in a single city, they were spread out west of Oosterbeek. They basically were picked off and defeated by the Germans until Germans. The thing is, I always saw Operation Market Garden as more of a very missed opportunity. Like, this was a battle that they could have won by just one adjustment. All they need to do was land on that target. Now, you may say, oh, but what about the AA? Well, the thing is, there was no AA or not much AA in that area. And it was actually just German faking it with dummies. If they had simply just asked the judge resistance for confirmation on that, they could have gotten it and then would have been able to land on top of it. Because I always wonder about this. If Arnhem is the most important objective of this operation, why won't you just go all out on it? Regardless of the casualty you take, if this operation is supposed to end the war faster, why are you gonna handicap yourself under some naive pretense that the Germans were just so weak that you're weak that it wouldn't matter where you land? But it did not matter where you land, because the concept of the paratroop is that they have to land very near to their target, so they can take it and hold it for about as long in force. But if they're only like a couple hundred paratroopers reach their objective and the rest are far scattered out and fighting and separated from them, those guys are not going to hold that long against a considered enemy attack. And that's what happened in Arnhem. The British had the place they were able to hold, and then when the Germans counterattacked, they instantly lost those supply drops that they desperately needed. Why? Because those supply drops were in areas that were nearly non-defensible. It was a disaster. It was a complete disaster that could have been prevented. They were able to free up about half of Holland thanks to the campaign, but it would have been more successful if they had simply just changed that aspect. Now I would like to hear your guys' opinion on it, and I see you guys on it. See ya.